Let's go ahead and enter in another field, the date received. And as far as the field data type goes, let's do date. Click on the drop down arrow. It also includes time. Well, to choose whether or not you want time to be included for this field, select it first. And then once you have one of these cells selected for this field, it can be the field name, the data type, the description, it doesn't matter. You can then come down here to its corresponding field properties and be able to choose. You don't have to select all 3 cells for this row here, which by the way you can do that by coming over here and hovering over the row header. That is, when you see a black arrow, you can go ahead and click and it selects all 3 cells, the entire row. After you have it selected, if you want, you can go ahead and click on it again, and it's in move mode where you can go ahead and move it up. So you switch places with manufacturer and click on it again to move it back down. Or you can go ahead and click and drag and select multiple rows, like the 2 here, to either delete them, or you can hit the delete key on the keyboard. Let me click back here for the date received. Again, you don't have to select the entire row, just select any one of these fields here. For this field, the date received, then come down here to the field properties. Let's go to the format cell, and you get its corresponding drop down arrow. So for the data type for that field, we can go ahead and choose a long date. Let's do something short. There we go. Where we have the month, day, and year. Select that. Then you get this lightning bolt that you can click on that allows you to go ahead and choose to update the format everywhere the date received is being used. So if you've been working on your database and you created a form or report based upon the fields here, that includes date received. If you had the field as long date and then today you decided to update it to short date, by selecting this, it'll update it in your forms and reports from the long date to the short date format. Let me go ahead and click off and then come back up here and choose date received again. And actually, our first field disappeared. Let's just come over here and scroll back up so we can see it. There we go, the asset tag. And let's enter in another field, the purchase price. Go ahead and hit the tab key, click on the drop down arrow. I'd like numbers to be entered into the field, more specifically currency. And then if you want to be able to choose the type of currency format after you selected it, come down here to the corresponding field properties for that field. And you can do it by the mouse by coming down here and clicking in the format field, or you can hit the F6 key on the keyboard and it automatically takes you down below to the first cell here, or format, with currency. Click on its corresponding drop down arrow and you can do euro, fixed. In any case, let me hit the escape key to get out of that and leave it as currency. You can also change the decimal places. Click on the drop down arrow. Instead of automatically setting up the decimal for me, let's do 0. And then you get the lightning bolt again in case if you need to update everywhere else the purchase price field is being used. Again, like in forms or reports. Let me click off. And if you have a question about, let's say, the decimal places, like what's that about? What's 0, or what if I add 5? How is that going to affect the data within the datasheet view for the purchase price field? Just go ahead and put the cursor within the field property down below, in this case decimal places, the one that I have a question on, and hit the F1 key on the keyboard, and it takes you to Microsoft's website where it talks about decimal place properties, and you get 2 options, or 2 links. You got the combo box or the text box. Now we haven't talked about creating a combo box, a list of different values that you can choose from, or a combination list. So right now we're just going to be dealing with text box. And we'll cover this in a later training video of the combo box. So let's go with the text box property. Go ahead and scroll down, and there you go. The auto setting, and then also the setting of 0 through 15. And if you choose 0 through 15, it says the description is that it's the digits to the right of the decimal separator appear with the specified number of decimal places. Sounds good to me. Go ahead and close out. And if you want to learn more, like for the format here, for the data type currency, hit the F1 key on the keyboard again. Takes us back to Microsoft, and you get the option of text box and combo box. Now, when I look at this, where I see 12 out of 103 rate this as being helpful, it may be that they don't understand when they come to this page that you do have 2 different property formats for the combo box value as opposed to the text box, where you're entering in text or choosing from a combination of values. So you need to keep in mind that access is a process. First, we have to create the structure of our database. And once we understand the basics and learning how to create the database, then we can go ahead and start entering in our values. Let's go ahead and close out of here to go back to the database and add another field, warranty. And in the warranty, instead of typing in yes we have it or no we don't, because when I have to type in yes, that's 3 characters, I can simplify it and click on the drop down arrow and say it's the yes or no option, or data type. If I want to see other formats that are available for the yes or no, then with any one of these cells selected for that field, come down here to the field properties for the format, click in it, and then go over to the right, click on its corresponding drop-down arrow, and you've got yes, no, true or false, or on and off. I'm going to hit the escape key and stay with yes or no, and take this for a test drive to see what it looks like when I'm done designing it and I want to start entering in data. So to enter data into the fields to make up a record or to create our first record, I need to go ahead and change it from the design view to the datasheet view. Datasheet, think of it entering in data. So go ahead and right click on the tab, go down to datasheet view, and if you haven't saved it, it'll ask you if you want to save it, say yes, and then it flips views. So then you can go ahead and start entering in your data with the manufacturer, date received, and so on. I've got 3 manufacturers that we order our computers from, and they are Atlas, Hi-Tech, and Micron. If I have a bunch of front-end users that don't know how to spell, and they spell Atlas 5 different ways, then technically speaking, according to the database, I'm going to have 5 different manufacturers, even though it's all supposed to be the same Atlas, but again spelled 5 different ways. So to control the data that's going to be entered into this field and to narrow down and to eliminate that kind of an error, I can go ahead and convert this field into a lookup field that will list those manufacturers for them. So they can't type it in themselves and they have to choose one of the 3. To do that, let's go ahead and right click on the tab, go back to the design view, and choose manufacturer, the data type, and change it from short text, click on the drop down arrow, to the lookup wizard. Now Microsoft is known for its wizards, where it's going to open up a window, ask us a bunch of questions, and based upon our answers, give us what we're looking for, or hopefully as close to what we're looking for here, and that is a list of values. So you can see up above it says the wizard creates a lookup field which will display a list of values you can choose from. And those values can be either pulled from another table or query, or we'll keep it simple. We're going to type those in ourselves here. Select it and click Next. And it says what values do you want to see in your lookup field. Go ahead and enter the number of columns you want in the list. Now by default you get 1 column. So if I come down here and I type in my values like Atlas, and when I type it in you can see the pencil there, meaning that it's in write mode, it hasn't been saved yet. When I hit the tab key, it saves it, the pencil disappears and it goes to the next cell. The one with the asterisk, which means that it's ready for a new record. Hi-Tech, hit the tab key, and then Micron, and hit the tab key. Now like it says, you can have more than 1 column. If I come up here and type in 2, the reason for having 2 or more columns is that the first column would be your primary column, the unique identifier for all the columns that says, okay, here's the manufacturer, and column 2 would be just a description or more details about column 1, and column 3 could be more details and so on. But one of the columns has to be the primary column that's unique. In other words, it doesn't have duplicates, that it'll identify correctly, in this case, that manufacturer. So I won't have 2 atlases or 3 here. That's going to be the primary column or unique column. Or over here I can have in column 2, Atlas, great manufacturer. Those are my details. Hi-Tech, great manufacturer. Micron, okay. I have duplicates here where it says great manufacturer twice. That doesn't matter as long as I identify this as the primary field. Let me show you when you click Next. It says over here you got 2 fields. And it says which one is going to be the primary key field, the one that uniquely identifies the row. Go ahead and choose column 1, but I'm going to go back and just go back to 1, hit the tab key, and keep it simple.